Okay, I just found out about this. Excuse me. I hadn't heard of it yet, but I'm reading a January 9th, 2019 article from BuzzFeed. There have been countless reports about the monkey dust drug. Here's what we actually know. Is the Australian panic about monkey dust necessary? A synthetic stimulant known as monkey dust has dominated headlines this week with claims that its use has triggered a nationwide warning due to its disturbing side effects of psychosis and strong hallucinations. I believe the UK is fighting with this right now, and they're having really bad problems with it. It's worse than acid. Um, Monkey dust is classified as a new psychoactive substance, which are drugs designed to replicate the effects of illicit drugs such as cocaine, cannabis, and ecstasy. One news report stated that an epidemic of monkey dust use in the UK has been linked to dozens of deaths. The same report also claimed that in one Australian case, a woman who took the drug ended up licking the dance floor so feverishly her tongue bled. Another article cited the drug's powerful hallucinogenic effects, saying that users have been filmed running into traffic, mutilating themselves, teetering on rooftops, and jumping from buildings. So, what exactly is monkey dust? Monkey dust, also known by the street name bath salts, so I guess it's another version of bath salts. Seems like it's a little more powerful. Is a designer drug, and its primary ingredient is methylene, methylene dioxypyrovalerone. Rovalerone. MDPV is structurally similar to cathinone, an active alkaloid in the leaves of the cat plant, which are traditionally chewed for their stimulant effect in East Asian cultures. MDPV belongs to the cathinone family of drugs, which are thought of chemically as cousins of amphetamines, such as MDMA, the primary ingredient in ecstasy, and amphetamine speed. The drug first came to international attention in 2012 when a cannibal attack on a man in Miami was attributed to the attacker being intoxicated by bath salts, although there was no evidence of the drug in his system. When consumed, the drug binds to norepinephrine and dopamine transporters in the brain, inducing a high that is reported as similar to cocaine, methamphetamine, and MDMA. In drug discrimination tests using rats, MDPV monkey dust substituted fully for methamphetamine, suggesting that the experience of taking these two drugs is extremely similar. Synthetic drugs such as MDPV first appeared in Australia in the mid 2000s. Mephedrone, otherwise known as Meow Meow, alpha PVK, Flocka, we've heard about that, and the bath salts, and methylone alone or belong to the same family of synthetic cathinones that monkey dust and were marketed as designer substitutes for cocaine. Australia witnessed a small increase in the proportion of people aged 14 and over who had tried one of these synthetic drugs at least once in their lifetime, from 0.4% in 2013 to 1% in 2016. However, the proportion of Australians who tried it in 2016 alone had leveled out to 0.3%. Monkey dust can be snorted, smoked, ingested orally, or injected, and it is used in extremely small quantities, with users reporting 5 milligrams or less per session. MDMA is generally consumed in quantities of between 75 milligrams and 125 milligrams, so it takes very little of this stuff to have a major effect. Its users are at risk of intense, prolonged panic attacks, development of psychotic symptoms from sleep deprivation, addictive cravings, and death from overdose. And if you know anything about bath salts, death can be first dose. Professor Michael Cole, a forensic scientist from Anglia Ruskin University, noted in an article for The Conversation that drugs such as monkey dust increase in use where there are lulls in the supply or too much demand for the drug they are trying to replicate. It also increases because it's cheap and most people can buy it legally. Does Australia have an epidemic of monkey dust use? It is highly unlikely that Australia is experiencing epidemic levels of use, Dr. Nicole Lee, an associate professor at the National Drug Research Institute, told BuzzFeed News that there isn't much evidence that there's a huge epidemic or that lots and lots of people are using it. Lee said she has never seen a patient who has developed a dependence on monkey dust in her clinical work. Well, she must not have been doing it very long, because I know people that are hooked on it. Lee notes that the most common medical problems with monkey dust are acute and experienced when drug users believe they are taking another substance, such as ecstasy, as monkey dust is sometimes mixed into ecstasy pills. This week's reports of monkey dust use appear to have stemmed from UK reports of the drug in late 2018. Staffordshire police began to report long-term addictions and violent behavior from users. There was actually an incident in New York where a guy, long hair, dressed in black, riding a bicycle, had jumped up on a car. He had just attacked somebody very violently. They're still looking for him. One incident involved a Staffordshire man climbing a roof and throwing roof tiles at police, allegedly while high on the drug. Staffordshire police reported in August that they were receiving an average of 10 calls or more a day related to monkey dust. However, Sarah Page, a senior lecturer in criminology from Staffordshire University, notes that it is unclear whether these calls were for the same individuals or if monkey dust was being mixed with other substances that exacerbated the situation. I'm going to stop right there. There's more of that article. So, if you have any experience at all with this stuff, when the bath salts came out, everybody thought it was okay. It was legal. Nobody had any issues with it. I was at Fort Hood at the time. We had a bunch of guys that took them, flipped out, straight flipped out. We had people dying. We got to Iraq, and a couple of guys, one I went to basic training with, and another guy I was in that unit with, started a steroid ring and a drug ring while they were in Iraq. And they were getting these bath salts sent out to them. And we had a guy, he was a roof gunner in a Humvee, and he took it before he went because he stayed up playing Xbox, didn't get any sleep. So he took it before he went, and they got outside the gate, and he started having seizures. Very first time taking it. Started having seizures and fell out of the gun turret and sent the barrel of the rifle up and started firing in the air. Luckily, he only fired up in the air. They got him out of the turret seat, laid him down in the middle of the Humvee there, and luckily they had a medic with him. He was in that Humvee, and he started working on him, and he almost died. They barely got him back, and after that, he was so messed up and so screwed up psychologically that he couldn't be in the military anymore, and he was sent home. He went to Germany for treatment, and then they got rid of him. But I know people here in Texas who have taken it and died first dose. Take it, dead within an hour. Sometimes not even that long. It's because they think they can take the same amount as they do other stuff. And then according to this article, they're mixing it with other stuff. So you may think you're taking ecstasy, which people are used to taking, or Molly, and they're used to taking that at parties and at clubs. But if they're mixing it with this, now not only are you getting the Molly or the ecstasy, but you're also getting the monkey dust on there too, which is a higher concentration of bath salts. And so, death can be imminent. Violent reactions can be imminent. They have this, they call it the zombie disease, that stems from this. Some people that take this feel the need to consume human flesh. And they're rather violent in their attack. The guy that got part of his face chewed off by that dude that was naked. And it was because he took a bunch of bath salts. So it's important to stay on top of what's coming out on the market, the new names for everything, because your kids can mention it and you won't even know. They'll walk around the house, mention monkey dust. Hey, yeah, this guy took some monkey dust, or hey, this guy got monkey dust up at school. And to you, it doesn't seem like anything. Or they may say, oh, it's a new candy that they come out with or something like that. Well, if you know what the names of these drugs are and the new names they're using, you know what to look for. Like when crocodile hit America and nobody paid any attention to it. Then all these people started going to the hospitals where all the flesh was eaten off of their arms or legs or wherever they were injecting it. Usually it was an arm and a leg, and it just literally just dissolves the flesh right off your body and leaves white bone behind it. I can't even tell you the videos that I've watched of people going to the doctor saying, yeah, something's wrong with my leg, I got an infection. They unwrap it, and it's this much meat on his leg is gone, and it's just white bone. And they just took a saw and just cut it off so they could get him inside and do an amputation, and it was because of this crocodile. And this is worldwide. This stuff's going on. It's terrible. So be careful, guys. If you have kids, listen to what they're saying. Get up to date. Get on the internet and Google search. Get up to date on the names of these drugs, because it only takes, especially if you have a child, especially if you have a child, it only takes one time to kill a 14 or 15-year-old boy or girl, because they don't know any better. They say, here, take this much. They take it. They can snort it. They can eat it. They taking candy. When I was in school, it had just started going. People, because people didn't bring nothing but skull, maybe a cigarette or two. But then people started bringing gummy bears, and everybody was sharing gummy bears. And what we didn't know is they were soaking them in alcohol. They were soaking them in vodka, and they didn't tell anybody. And their parents were doing it for them, or their older sister or brother were doing it for them, and they were giving them out of school. And they were only giving them to certain people. And then you noticed a change in their demeanor, but nobody ever paid much attention to it. Then they caught on all of a sudden. This is while I was in grade school they were doing this. This is back in the 70s and 80s. But now you got them doing the same thing now. They get the sour straws, the gummy candy, and they coat it with dust, from angel dust to bath salts ground up to a powder to this stuff, cocaine, and they dust it with that. And they do the same with the gummy bears. They actually inject some of that stuff up in the gummy bears. Or they'll make a little hole with a knife and they'll push a pill of some kind up in there. And they give it to the kids and let the kids eat it. It only takes one time and your child is dead, because their little bodies can't take that stuff. So be careful, guys. Get up to date on this stuff. It's Satan's working overtime. If he can't get you, he's going to try to get your kids. Both my kids are adults, but I watch over them like a hawk, because if something gets in the way that may cause them to run astray, I'm going to make an interception on that. So anyway, that's a heads up, bringing you guys up to speed on what's going on. I had never heard about donkey dust until just today, about an hour, not even an hour ago. So I thought I would share that with you guys. So stay armed with that knowledge, stay alert, trust in the Lord, and I'll see you guys in the next video.